going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the NBA Slate Starter Podcast. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Rayen Patnaik as we break down Friday's 9-game NBA DFS slate. Seth Curry, thanks for that. That was fun. I enjoyed today. Oh, God. I had to watch like 30 minutes of basketball, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do some chores. How was your day, Rayen Patnaik?
Yeah, seeing that Juan Toscano-Anderson paid off, Tyrese Maxey paid off, now Jason Tate is paying off for those sub 2%ers. It's been a scrub fest turned into stars. Shout out to Kelly Oubre Jr. Tsunami Poppy was at it, put up a career high tonight. Really carried those lineups to the top. We'll see if anyone in tonight's Western Conference Showdown comes in with a late night hammer. Maybe it's LeBron, maybe it's AD, maybe it's Nikola Jokic. Who knows what's going to happen?
Hoping LeBron so I can make back 1/4 of my money tonight. That'd be great. Anyway, we are both in the middle of a Top Shot sweat. They're doing the NBA Top Shot deal where you get in line. They're testing everything out. So we're both waiting on our packs. So if you hear us go dark for like 5 minutes, you know what's up. But anyway, today's comment bar, put something down in the Top Shot bottom end that you would pay top dollar for a moment. Is that kind of what we're going for, Rayen Patnaik?
Yeah, name any NBA moment that you want to see that turns into a Top Shot moment that you'd be willing to buy right away. For me, for example, would be the LeBron block on Iguodala in Game 7 of the 16 Finals. I think that's up there for me if I would be able to cop one. I think it's one of the greatest plays in NBA history. And every single Dame winner is like unbelievable. I think you can make a whole montage.
If you got a Dame winner in like a legendary pack, don't you just like go on vacation and
imagine a Dame winner compilation, like all of them?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm just like, I just want this pack so bad. It's not going to happen. I don't know what's going on. I'm like the last person in line, I'm pretty sure. But we're gonna sweat it out. Anywho, you guys aren't here for this, but we sure are. But before we get to the analysis for Friday, get to the bottom bar, hit subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all the other content at Awesemo is going live. You ready to get started, my dude?
Let's ride.
Let's party. Sitting at the top of point guard over on DraftKings tomorrow. James Harden, 10,600. He's got that shooting guard eligibility. He's also got two other guys that are on the team with him that make life difficult for him to really get on top of it. Or once upon a time it did before Steve Nash decided to come out with all of the coach speak where James Harden needs to get involved. And now you've seen 72, 61.5, and 64.5. However, that 64.5 came in 43 minutes the other night. Pretty crazy to see that kind of a number out of James Harden. So 10,600, if you could tell me he's going to play 43 minutes, I'm in, sure. Then 9,100 Kyrie Irving. So you're getting that $1,500 discount. He put up 56.75. I mean, these Brooklyn Nets are just crazy. I saw something where they have the highest offensive rating since the trade. They would have the highest offensive rating in NBA history, but also the worst defensive rating in NBA history simultaneously. So they're living on the polls, but hey, that's great for fantasy. It's just difficult to figure out how to mix and match these three guys. And then Russell Westbrook, 9K, coming off of resting the other night, so 9K against Miami. And Malcolm Brogdon, we'll throw him into 8K against the New Orleans Pelicans. Talk to me about the top end of point guard.
Yeah, over there on DK, like you covered, it's the Brooklyn tandem, two part of the trio, but the Harden and Irving point guard tandem over there, man, that's a $1,500 price difference. But it's going to come down to an ownership disparity. I do think Kyrie might be a little bit higher owned than Harden just because of the price savings you can get on Kyrie. And Kyrie was great last time out, as well as Harden. They both took I want to say, Kyrie took north of 20 shots. Harden picked up a double-double. Yeah. Triple-double. Pardon me there. Picked up a triple-double. He's gone back-to-back triple-doubles, which he hadn't done since his Brooklyn debut. So to see back-to-back triple-doubles from Harden is nice. Maybe he's getting more comfortable now. Those guys were on and off, like playing all three together. Maybe we get to see these guys get some more chemistry together and maybe they get going. Against the Toronto defense, that's improved a little bit, but still not as good as what they've been in the past. VanVleet coming off a career game against the Magic, now going up against Brooklyn. So people are feasting against this Brooklyn team, you name it. Maybe we can go back to Fred VanVleet, $7,900. But if he's going to be somewhat heavily popular, I think I'm going to be significantly under the field there because I don't think we saw the ultimate ceiling there of 77 fantasy points. For me, his ceiling is usually like, okay, if he gets to 50, that's a really good Van Vliet game. I expect him to be in around the low 40s or potentially mid 40s against this Brooklyn team. Brogdon against the Pelicans, 8K. It's just like where Brogdon's price has been all year long now. Over there in FanDuel, top range goes by Irving, Brogdon, Westbrook against Miami, $9,800. Chris Paul, 8K versus Detroit. Paul came back down to earth after a run of like 5 out of the 6 games. He was sensational. Now going up against Detroit. Detroit is no one to be. Nothing scares Detroit defense at all. So I think we can definitely take some shots with Chris Paul. Potentially a bounce back game. Lowry's $8,500. He was a bit too expensive. I'd be willing to save and go to guys like Brogdon and Paul over Lowry and over Drew Holiday, who's all the way up to 8,300 now. It's pretty impressive to see his price tag go up, along sharing the ball with Giannis and Middleton.
Yeah, I like all of those for the most part. I mean, for me, again, people don't like to hear that we like every single player up top here. There's just kind of an argument to be made on this slate specifically more than others. Like, if Drew Holiday at 8,300 can be kind of contrarian, like getting up against Cleveland is a good spot to possibly get on top of a tag. Lowry, 8,500 is a big number over on FanDuel for sure, but he's obviously continued to get there. And now Brooklyn, you're looking at the ultimate track mate between those two teams, so he could totally get on top of it. I would have more interest, I think, going to either one of them over on DraftKings, where you get a little bit lower tag, sitting at 7,700, 7,800 for him over on DraftKings. It just seems like DraftKings pricing on some of these point guards is a little bit better, or sorry, like just more favorable between the 9K sitting there with Westbrook and then going to like 8K with Brogdon. Like there's a lot of like favorably priced point guards to look at. So like ownership is going to play a big part in our process tomorrow, I think. Looking down like further into the range, Kemba Walker, 6,500 is a huge number for him over on DraftKings. I still feel like, I know that he got on top of it last time out, but I do like 5,700 coming off of resting up against the Clippers. 5,700 over on FanDuel. It feels like a spot that I really kind of want to invest myself into. Delon Wright, if you will. He's kind of like starting to play into those like 30 minutes, 31 minutes and such. I wouldn't mind having some shares of him at 5,300. That kind of like is a tag that sticks out. There's just a lot of like, there's a lack of offense there between Jerry Grant, between Derrick Rose, like whatever else. I'm going to have some interest in trying to maybe punt a couple of those with him. And then we got to talk about it because, you know, I'm assuming Shea will be back tomorrow. I'm assuming, or no, he will not be. So we got to talk 4,800 T.O. Maledon again. Good times. 7 stocks last time. Give me a T.O. Maledon take for the road.
Oh, well, T.O. Maledon's going to need a lot more than 7 stocks now, right, to pay off that price tag. I kid, but he did take 12 shot attempts. He went 2 of 12 from the field. The shot volume is nice. The 7 stocks probably will not happen again. Maybe he goes 6 of 12 from the line, 6 of 12 from the field, and pays off his salary that way. His price tag didn't jump too high. Now he's going up against Minnesota. Minnesota is not that difficult of a defense. If Maledon comes
they're not good at defense, and he's 4,800 on FanDuel, so
yeah,
they're
not good.
Yeah, that's not great. Keep going.
But yeah, Maledon is okay. I'm not too excited about it. I do think he might come in with quite a bit of ownership for a big slate like this. It's a tough ask to go to a guy who paid off his salary by getting there with 7 stocks.
Agreed. TJ McConnell, at least his price tag, he's under 5K over on FanDuel, so 4,600. Continues to put up 30 at a ridiculous rate. Like, whatever. I don't care. I'm not playing TJ McConnell. Not playing Ricky Rubio. Ish Smith. No, thank God we don't have to deal with that chalk again. That'll be enjoyable. So yeah, let's kind of like move on, I think. I mean, there's really not anything else down in this bottom end that I'm really looking at besides possibly some shares of like Cole Anthony at 5K will be popular against Chicago, and a spot over on FanDuel that I could see you going to. But other than him, I don't see anything under 5K that I'm like, yay, I need to get a piece of that over on FanDuel.
Yeah, I think we can hop right over to the shooting guard position and talk about potentially another chalk day of Hamidou Diallo.
Oh my lordy, I love it. That actually worked out well for me the other night, so you're not going to hear me complain about Chalk Hamidou Diallo. Going to the top end, we're going to start on FanDuel for this one. James Harden sitting at 11,000. Bradley Beal, 10,800. That's a huge tag as long as Russell Westbrook sitting next to him there. We haven't really seen the ceiling we've seen earlier from Beal. However, Beal can pop it at any moment, just like Luka, just like Giannis, just like any of these guys. So 10,800 against Miami, why not? If you're trying to get super different on a 9-game slate. Fred VanVleet is 9K on FanDuel. Hello. That's going to be a pass for me. And then Zach LaVine, 8,900 up against this Orlando team. So we haven't really seen anything out of him lately either. I mean, there's kind of just some overpriced guys over here on shooting guard. Anybody up here that you would be looking at taking some shots on?
Wow, Fred VanVleet has already 9K price tag on there on FanDuel. So if you want to play VanVleet, I do prefer that 7.9 price tag on DraftKings. 9K. Let's talk about some pivots off of VanVleet over there on FanDuel. I like LaVine saving $100 less than VanVleet if the ownership favors him that way. Paul George, $8,600. Yeah, I'm pretty excited to play Paul George. His shot attempts are very solid. They're kind of transitioning more and more to a Kawhi and PG-13, just like, okay, let you guys take all the shots, and we'll hang out in the threes. If you're double teamed, we'll be there for a open three. And that's kind of what's been happening more and more as I watch the Clippers of late. And I kind of like it when Reggie Jackson's the starting lineup. I feel like the offense flows better than Patrick Beverley at times. But we'll see how this team matches up against Boston. In top range, Harden versus Beal, I think I'm going to have to prefer Harden here slightly, even though it's a $200 more of a price tag. It's a tough 1v1 there, just because we know what Bradley Beal's ceiling can be if he gets hot, and Harden's floor can be if the other two Brooklyn guys can get going. So it's a tough 1v1 with that price tag coming in so close with each other. But I think most of the point guard, shooting guard, one of the shooting guard spots is going to be Hamidou Diallo again, 5K versus Minnesota. I think we need to consider him as kind of like a cornerstone of the shooting guard position over there on FanDuel. Over there in DraftKings, he comes in at he is $5,200. Another solid comes in at a solid value over there. I prefer Diallo to Maladon. It's a $200. You just spend an extra $200 for Hamidou Diallo. I think it's a better play the way things stand right now. And other spend down options, I think, not spend down necessarily, but other shooting guard options to definitely keep in mind. I like D'Angelo Russell again. He's under 7K. We saw that he took 20 shot attempts, played 31 minutes. And I do think those minutes are slowly increasing as he recovers from this quad injury. D'Angelo Russell is one of those guys in 30 minutes can put up 50 fantasy points. He's one of those guys who can get hot like that. And I like being over the field on D'Angelo Russell kind of whenever he's on the slate because I know he has that upside in his bag. Outside of that, I think it's a tough shooting guard position. I think you can definitely take your shots on a Donovan Mitchell versus Charlotte, Devin Booker versus Detroit. And I think Anthony Edwards is now finally too expensive. I think it's worth just saving down to Diallo in that price range over there. Do you have any interest in Terry Rozier on DraftKings? He's expected to play tomorrow versus Utah at $5,900. And also Kobe White at 6K, who has shooting guard eligibility versus Orlando.
Oh, man, Kobe White. The Kobe White experience. That was going so good, and then it was going so poorly for the last week. So that's been a tough one to stomach of late. Kobe White's a guy who's just kind of like hot and cold. He runs that way, it seems like. He's either super confident, putting up shots, making things happen. That Sacramento game earlier this year stands out in my mind, where he was just kind of like able to jump on top of an upside out of the middle of nowhere. And then for the last week, just been absolute garbage. So 6K is probably going to be a no for me. 5,900 Terry Rozier. I'm curious to see kind of like what that rotation is going to look like. I mean, Ball, he was in foul trouble the first start. The next one played 38 minutes. So now you're looking at Terry Rozier kind of getting thrown into the middle of the equation. I think it kind of makes all three of them unenticing at their current tags between him, Devontae Graham, and LaMelo Ball. I just wouldn't really want to get super involved with it. I say that knowing full well that I'm about to plug Eric Bledsoe at 5,300 over on FanDuel. Completely waxed me the other day. I mean, part of that was the 22-point blowout against the Suns, but 5,300. It's crazy to think he's only $100 more expensive than Nickeil Alexander-Walker, which makes literally 0 sense to me. I also want to let it be known we might have missed one guy over on point guard that I want to point out just because Colin Sexton is questionable. If he sits, you just play Darius Garland. You just do it. But Colin Sexton sitting at 6,800 on FanDuel, that'd probably be a pass for me as well. I like the D'Angelo Russell call. Jeremy Lamb at 5,800 in that New Orleans matchup. Not so much on FanDuel, but I believe he's got a better tag. I think I saw 5,200 over on DraftKings. So I would definitely have some interest in that against the Pellies. But that Hamidou Diallo, I mean, run it back. Just run it back for me. I'm here for it. I'm ready to go. He's, 1.1 fantasy point per minute guy on the year. He just gets things done on a basketball floor. And I like that when the opportunity is there, the minutes are unembedded for the first time or unabated. Like there's nobody blocking him from getting as many minutes as he can possibly play out there at the moment. And he can play shooting guard, small forward. Like I'm ready to party with some more Diallo. Anybody else you want to go to before we finish out?
Yeah, I think we hit on all the points there. Obviously, news can change everything in a blink, as we saw today. I think we need to move on to the small forward position.
We do need to move on. We're ready. Top end of small forward on DraftKings. Let's go to Kevin Durant, 9,600. Hello. That's a jarring price tag to see for him in a good way in terms of it just being lower than you would expect. He's been sitting in the 10Ks for, I don't know, as long as you can scroll down to the bottom there. For 8 consecutive games, he's been in the 10K range. Now 9,600 up against this Toronto team at a small forward position that's generally tougher to fill. I don't know if it's like that insanely difficult. I think we have some options to play with that small forward more than we normally would on a random slate. So 9,600, though, is a nice tag to see over on DraftKings. Kawhi Leonard, 8,800, ended up playing in the back-to-back, the Brooklyn to Cleveland back-to-back the other days. So that was nice to see. He's playing decent, played really well in that Brooklyn game, but everybody's going to play pretty well against Brooklyn. Now a tougher matchup here, but Jaylen Brown is questionable. So that's going to be an interesting thing to kind of see how that's going to pop out for the entire Celtics team. That could open up a bunch of value here and there. So keep that in mind. If he were to be sitting out, I mean, Kawhi, 8,800. I don't think Jaylen Brown's the best defender in the world. Semi Ojeleye is okay, I guess. Like, that'd be a strange rotation to watch. But Kawhi Leonard, I definitely have some interest in. And to finish it out up top here, Jimmy Butler sitting there against the Washington Wizards. Matchup you like to pick on. He's been looking great since he got back. 3 consecutive games of 44.5 or better. Talk to me about these top guys.
Yeah, it's Kevin Durant taking on the Raptors since the first time he tore his Achilles in the June 2019 finals. So, but obviously it's not in Toronto. It's an interesting narrative to talk about, but he's $9,600 and it's Kevin Durant. We know what he can do. It's Kevin Durant. We don't need to be too worried about him. 10-7 on FanDuel. That's kind of steep for him. I think it's there is merit to saving those $2,200, going down to a guy like Butler, save those $1,100 and go to a Kawhi Leonard versus Boston. I think Kevin Durant's a fine spend-up option over there, but I do think those saving that salary will help to pay up for some other guys. Some slight upgrades in other positions will definitely help. Chris Middleton versus Cleveland, $7,900. He's just been a model of consistency this season, which is fantastic at $7,900. Pascal Siakam is up to $8,900 against this Kate Brooklyn Nets matchup. Yeah, I think it's going to be a unique roster build to pay up for Siakam. I do like that because in the sense we can, some of these guys are just going ballistic versus the Brooklyn Nets, and why not Siakam? Jaylen Brown, $8,700. I think I prefer paying up for Siakam just because of the matchup. Jaylen Brown might see the likes of Kawhi or PG at times, and we know how tough that defensive matchup can be for the opposing player. Jeremy Grant is now down to $6,800. He has come down to earth mainly, but he had a monster game against Utah, played 38 minutes, put up 45 fantasy points. $6,800. I think he's going to get quite a bit of ownership versus Phoenix, but Phoenix is a very good defense. Keep in mind of that. Gordon Hayward versus Utah, one of his former teams, and I think Gordon Hayward, another similar to Chris Middleton, been very, very good in terms of consistency all year long. those are small forward. When you have to roster 2 on FanDuel, there is some really good options throughout the slate. Over there in DK, I think Diallo, who has small forward eligibility, is definitely going to have some ownership. Jimmy Butler, $8,300 versus Washington. Another good spot for him to take advantage of. So I think we can definitely go to Butler. Mikal Bridges, $5,300. Just plays a ton of minutes, in mid-30s minutes. He needs to just hit some of his threes. He's gone 0 of 11 the last 2 games out from 3. I expect that to turn around, and I think it's a spot where he could pay off that price tag. And Darius Baisley, $5,700 versus Minnesota. Was great last time out. It was great for your lineup the other night on FanDuel. Is he someone that you will be considering again tomorrow versus Minnesota?
Yep, I definitely will. Let's just run it back. I'm here for it. He's just good at basketball. I like that he's small forward eligible over on DraftKings, 5,700. That's beautiful. 5,200 Diallo again. It's a great spot to be looking at there. I have a crazy guy, and I just want to throw it out there. So we can't, I know it's a 9-game slate, and I have no idea what the value is going to emerge it being. And so I'm trying to pinpoint guys and seeing people who are kind of getting extra run. Actually, you know what? I'm scratching this. I can't bring up DeAndre Bembry with a straight face. 3,400 over on DraftKings. He's 3,400 Toronto in that Brooklyn matchup, a fast-paced matchup. I'm trying to find pieces of value that I can whenever I can against this Brooklyn team. He's only 3,400. Is Bembry somebody who could actually be in play on this slate?
I'm not that interested in Bembry, but I do think in that price range, there is no Lou Dort tomorrow. I think one of Justin Jackson or Kenrich Williams can be good.
Yeah.
So one of those 2 guys can be good. Maybe we go to Justin Jackson this game in terms of ownership. Played 30 minutes, went 2 of 9 from the field. You'll take 30 minutes at that price range.
Yep.
And
I
really
was going to say, we got to find some punts down here. And small forward, we try to find some punts because of how much upside exists at some of the other positions. There are some upside guys at small forward, don't get me wrong. 9,600, Kevin Durant's great, but I love the Kenrich Williams and Justin Jackson as well. But yeah, so no on Bembry is what you're getting at.
Yeah, I do think, I know as good as the Nets matchup can be, he's going to be option 6 on that team, right?
That's fair, yeah.
I do think it's a nice spot and to just differentiate yourself from a very chalky lineup and boom, go to him. I do think there is merit to that on a slate like this.
How about the express slate at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time? Can I play him in that?
Yeah, you can definitely play him on a showdown or an express slate. Yeah.
I'm just looking for it. I know OG's out, but yeah, no, I was looking then. I was just kind of digging around to find somebody that wasn't some of those OKC guys. Save that for you. Let you take the hammer home. Make me look like an idiot. I'm fine with that. Anybody else at small forward you want to bring up and before we move on?
No, I think we should hop on over to the power forward position.
Let's do that. Giannis sits up there. He's pretty good at basketball. So FanDuel, 11,200 Giannis Antetokounmpo. You should probably play him if you can because he's very good at fantasy basketball. That FanDuel lineup you alluded to, for me, it was just Luka Doncic, Giannis, jam in some value, and then Harrison Barnes was my differentiator at 2%, and he went for 41, so that was fun. Got close. So we're gonna try to run it back here on Friday because we sure didn't run it back on Thursday. I can tell you that. Giannis 11,200, great. Jason Tatum played fantastic against Sacramento. This is not a Sacramento matchup though. This is the Clippers. So you've got Kawhi, you've got Paul George, but Jason Tatum can elevate over any matchup. If Jaylen Brown is out 9,500 on FanDuel, I would still have interest because that offense is going to go through one guy. You saw it even in the fourth quarter with Jaylen Brown on the floor. The offense just goes through Jason Tatum. He looks great right now, so no problem going there at 9,500 if Jaylen Brown were to be out. 9,200 Bam Adebayo. Just too big of a price tag, but again, you're getting this Washington matchup that you were excited about the other time. They're running it back. He got to 45.2, which is great, but also not great at 9,200. So I'm probably going to still be off of him now that Jimmy Butler's back. And then the guy that we got to talk about every single slate, Domantas Sabonis, 8,800, 54.4. All the guy does is just go for big lines at this point in time. Talk to me about this top end of power forward, specifically Sabonis day.
Yeah, so Giannis, KD, Sabonis, Tatum lead the way over there on DraftKings. Siakam's also power forward center eligibility, and Siakam comes in at a very favorable $7,600 over there on DraftKings. On FanDuel, obviously Giannis and Sabonis stand out to me in their prices. I like Sabonis is sub 9K over there. think that's a very nice price tag for him. I do think you can get different. If you think Tatum can overcome the Kawhi and PG matchup, $9,500, it's going to be a very low owned play. It's one way to differentiate yourself for sure. Now, Zion Williamson, $8,300, has been very good of late, pretty consistent against Indiana, $8,300. I think he's someone that we could definitely consider over there on FanDuel. FanDuel seems like a pay up spot right now outside of Darius Baisley. In trying to pay out for Sabonis or Giannis seemed like a very nice thing to do over there. On DraftKings, other guys who have power forward eligibility, Justin Jackson does over there, $3,200. We talked about what can happen with him. Maybe Muscala finds his way to a few extra minutes there. It's an ugly play, $3,300. It's kind of getting really scrubby. But Sabonis definitely is one of my favorite plays, along with Darius Baisley, $8,600, $5,700 respectively. And I think we need to talk about, I think maybe if you are trying to building a bunch of lineups, has been very disappointing. I want to say the last 4 games out, hasn't crossed more than 20 minutes yet, is Chris Boucher, down to $4,700 versus Brooklyn. Now I feel like it's going to go up against Brooklyn. Maybe Boucher gets a little bit going. Maybe Nurse trusts him more. He's been a liability of defense of late. Maybe he gets some more volume and shot attempts against this very cake Nets matchup.
Can't do it. I can't do it. Nick Nurse hates him. So Nick Nurse hates him. So I can't play him at any price. I can't play him for the min because Nick Nurse hates him. I would play Chris Boucher at the min. That's not true. But God, 13, 13, 18, 18. Those are his minutes the last 4. And you have OG off the floor. You have OG off. It's been the Aaron Baines show, which is not a show. That's a non-syndicated program. It is not in syndication. It is not good. Oh, man. I just want Boucher to be a thing. 4,700, though. I mean, fine. Okay, you convinced me. You said his name, so I now must play him in some lineups. That's fine. I mean, Frank Kaminsky is putting up more fantasy points at around the same minutes right now, which is just not real life right now. I don't even know what to say. It's been very, very tilting. Yeah, looking down at the bottom of power forward is like very, very ugly. I have no interest in trying to do anything with Kem Birch ever. I have no interest in trying to do anything with James Ennis or Orlando. I just kind of looked at Orlando specifically because they're facing Chicago, which is a front court I like to target. Nope, not looking great to me there. I really don't see anything besides Tristan Thompson, 3,800 on FanDuel, that I would have any interest in playing before, like beneath like 4,200. Maybe some shots on Patrick Williams, but that's like about it. And that's purely like a numbers game where he played 32 minutes last time out. We'll see kind of like if he ends up being like remotely popular. I might take a couple shots there to see if he could like spike an upside. I like rookies that, as they get going, they could just randomly spike one at any given time. And we don't have enough sample size to really know exactly who they are, except for Isaac Okoro. We know exactly who he is. Anybody else that you want to talk about at power forward?
Yeah, I just think Davis Bertans is the new Buddy Hield for me. Take a shot with Davis Bertans. I like that he's one of those guys who can get hot in a GPP. You want one of those guys who just gets hot and gets there just by just shooting lights out. And Bertans is definitely one of those guys, especially $4,300 on FanDuel. I think definitely should be considered.
Alrighty. Well, get down to that bottom bar and hit subscribe here before we get to the center position. Hit that like button if you haven't. Also, if you're listening to us on the Apple Podcast Network or anybody else, if you're listening on Spotify, leave us a review. Give us those 5 stars because obviously we're lovely people and you want us to keep doing this, and this is fantastic. So just go ahead and leave a review if you could. Does a world of good for us. So fire that up, and we will fire up center for you. Going over to the center position on FanDuel, with Cat out, the highest price center is $8,800 on this slate in Nicola Vucevic. So that's a spot you can go to. That's where I'm going to have a lot of interest against the Chicago front court. Let's just fire him up. There's really nothing bad that I could say about him there. Ayton's all the way up to 8,500, so maybe some shots, but he's starting to fade of late. Not to be a box score watcher specifically, but like just hasn't completely been there. And Mason Plumlee's all right, but like it wouldn't surprise me if he spiked an upside, but Vooch is just a significantly better play for only $300 more. Rudy Gobert, $8,300. And then Miles Turner in this New Orleans matchup. We'll see if Steven Adams ends up deciding to go. That would be a spot that I would definitely, I guess Steven Adams will play for sure. He played last time out. So Miles Turner, 7,700. He's been a block party of late, and we like to do that stuff on FanDuel. However, 14.9 in his last outing in that game with Milwaukee. Talk to me about center.
Yeah, leading the way, Nicola Vucevic versus Chicago. I love it. I love Vucevic. Could be one of my favorite players on the slate with that price tag versus the Chicago defense. There's nothing I'm too worried about Vucevic over there. $8,500 on DraftKings. Yeah, definitely someone who's going to be very popular, and rightfully so. I think it's a spot for Vucevic to succeed in. Giannis has center eligibility, 10-8. We know what Giannis can do. If this game stays close, Giannis could get to 50 fantasy points by the half, and he might not play the rest of the way. That's how Milwaukee sometimes is rolling. But even if Giannis gets to 30 minutes, he could put up 60 fantasy points. He did that against Indiana last time out, and they still blew him out. So Giannis just has so many ways of succeeding. Other center options over there in FanDuel, Gobert is $8,300. They didn't need much of him today as they took care of business of the Trae Young-less Hawks. Gobert, $8,300 versus Charlotte. Seems like a solid price tag. I like getting a little different with potentially a DeAndre Ayton, $8,500, a pivot where I don't think he'll come in with much ownership whatsoever. Nas Reed's minutes have been came up to 30 minutes after his return from injury. I think we could go to him against Oklahoma City in a mid-tier option as well. And it's that's pretty much it. It's tough to find centers on FanDuel pricing that really stick out to me right now. I'd say Vooch and everyone else, to me, the way it looks, especially on FanDuel. Over there in DK, obviously Vooch is someone who already mentioned that stands out. I think
it gets really, really gross. I'm seeing Cody Zeller's now 6,100, but he's facing Gobert. Not a great spot to go pick on anybody. I think a lot of the days of like free center plays might be up for people. I think we've had a pretty good run for the last week and a half. Seems like everybody's priced about where they should be. I don't really see anything that really sticks out. The one thing that I think I at least want to like make note of, Zubac. It's Zubac season. Like that guy has been absolutely on a just he's just been trending up the whole way. No interest at 5,200 over on FanDuel, but like played 28 minutes against Cleveland. I know it was partial blowout, but like he's been looking really, really good. And I don't want to like just have that be a thing that I'm obviously biased, so I must say he is the great hero of my life. But there's like no way that like I'm not going to have some shares of a 4,900 Zubac who's like playing fantastic right now against, like, I'm not worried about Tice. I'm not worried about Tristan Thompson here.
So let's say if you're building 10 lineups and in that 10th lineup, you have to decide between a $4,500 Boucher or a $4,900 Ivica Zubac.
Honestly, I'm just going to give up my firstborn child instead. I'm going to do that because I would much rather have those two. No, I have to go Zubac because I know that I'm at least getting 24 minutes. I know I'm at least getting a guy who's better than a fantasy point per minute producer, a guy that if he gets extended run can look like he just went out and trounced the Cleveland front court of Jared Allen and Andre Drummond. It was really fun to watch. I spent a lot of time watching him. So anywho, he's kind of my random 4,900 guy down there, but like Boucher 4,500, Tristan 44, Hayes no. Like there's just nothing looking good down here at all. Do you have anything for the road?
No, I think it's Vooch and Gobert lead the way over there in DK. And obviously Giannis is a center eligible who needs to be talked about. But there's another price tag that sticks out. I just ran over it. Is DeAndre Ayton, $7,100. I think there is some upside for him to massively destroy this Detroit front court.
It's a little better than that $8,500 over on FanDuel that they're asking you to pay. Just like gouge me, why don't you? Anywho, that's all we got for today. Rinpack. Do you have any parting words for the weekend?
Yeah, good luck, everyone. I enjoyed the Super Bowl. We have a ton of Super Bowl content. There's a bunch of million makers out there. Do you have a Super Bowl pick? Who's going to take down the Super Bowl? I am going with the Kansas City Chiefs. I am betting against Tom Brady. I think Patrick Mahomes is the real deal. They never lose in Florida, it seems like, and I think we're going to see hopefully it's a shootout. I just love high scoring NFL games. Hopefully we get something like that.
Yeah, I write the prop report stuff. I'm not sure if I'm going to have one for Sunday, but I know I'll probably throw a couple of things out on my Twitter. So at Eric Lindquist, at Rayen Patnaik, make sure that you're following those two. I would say, I hammered -3 Kansas City as soon as that showed up. It went up to 3.5 instantly. If you ask me now, I'm probably fading on everything. I think everybody's going to play. I think everybody's going to be good to go coming off of the haircut debacle. But otherwise, I like Kansas City quite a bit. Patrick Mahomes is like one of my favorite calls ever, as I watched him at Texas Tech just sling a ball around for 70 points a game, and still, Cliff Kingsbury ends up getting a head coaching job out of the deal. Just crazy to me. But anywho, that's really all we got for today. Go Chiefs, and we'll talk to you guys later. See you next week.